Welcome to Mark Alford's Capital Recap, where each week we give you a behind-the-scenes look at our nation's capital. Today, we are at the state capital of the great state of Missouri. We are actually in the governor's office. I just happened to run into the new governor, Mike Kehoe, down in the basement. We rode the elevator up, and he said, "Come see my Oval Office." And we are here with the governor, Mike Kehoe. Good to see you, Governor. I haven't seen you since you were sworn in.
Well, Congressman, it's great to see you, and it's great that we ran into each other because you've been incredibly kind and supportive and have done a great job for your district. And so we're pleased to have you and your team in our office today.
Well, thank you. You're giving your State of the State address. I'm here to hear what you have to say. Can you give us a snippet of what you have in mind?
Well, I'd tell you, but then I'd have to, no. We are going to talk about the pillars that we've been talking about. You and I have talked about this a lot. Crime in our communities, what we need to do to protect the men and ladies in blue who really keep our communities and our state safe. We'll be talking a lot about economic actions that we'd like to take, rolling back regulations on Missourians and Missouri businesses, getting a tax structure that puts more money in Missourians' pockets. We'll be talking a lot about agriculture, as you know, and in your district specifically. It's a huge issue, and we want to grow our ag economy and make sure we get young people into agriculture. We'll be talking a little bit about ag. And then education reform, lots of opportunities out there, whether it's, having opportunities for career technical education or a little bit of school choice for parents to be able to choose what school their child should go to for the best results. We're talking about that. Obviously, I'm a pro-life Republican, as you are as well. And we'll be talking a little bit about how we continue to protect innocent life. So we'll hit all of the barriers and to make sure that we continue to drive a message that we feel is the direction for Missouri to move forward.
You've already issued some executive orders, I think one dealing with crime in Missouri. Tell us about those and why you issued those.
Sure. We have a crime plan called Safer Missouri, and it was developed actually by law enforcement instead of some bureaucrat developing a plan in some cubicle, and there's great bureaucrats in cubicles, but we actually took sheriff and law enforcement, police chiefs, highway patrolmen, rank and file police officers, and developed a crime plan. And we signed 6 executive orders right after our hand came off the Bible on Inauguration Day that gives additional tools to those men and ladies protecting our communities, including issues they can handle with immigration, creating some joint task force to help go out and get the bad guys that we have warrants for out there. So multiple different tools to help law enforcement do their job without their hands tied behind their back, because we know that's the foundation to how we move forward.
I have a security detail, which I know probably feels a little bit odd for you, but aside from that, how have you adjusted so far? What have you had to adjust to, whether it's in the governor's mansion just south of us or here in your office or your new role as governor of the great state of Missouri?
Well, it is a little interesting having people around you all the time because, when you just jump up, I'm a guy that just jumps up and wants to go visit somebody in their office.
In fact, you just made me coffee, which is kind of cool because I do that for our guests up in D.C. You're just that kind of guy.
I like to remember my roots. This has been an incredibly humbling journey to have this beautiful office that belongs to the people in this beautiful capital. Our story is similar to a lot of people who've worked hard in this country. Work hard, pray hard, and produce results. And every day's a pinch me moment, to be honest with you. I just can't believe I'm here.
And how about Claudia? How's she adjusting?
She's adjusting. She is going to be and already is a great first lady. She's going to get involved in a lot of things. But right now, Claudia is preparing to be a grandma. Can you believe we're going to be grandparents?
I cannot believe your first.
Yes, sir.
We just had our first.
And we're just a few weeks away from that. So Claudia's activities are concentrating now on how to get car seats in cars and me putting baby beds together. And it's kind of an exciting time in our life.
You're not supposed to kiss the baby now? I went to kiss my granddaughter.
Well, what politicians do.
Exactly. My daughter says, "Dad, you can't kiss Naomi." I said, "Why not? You may have something." I said, "I'm not a Democrat. It's not going to wear off on her."
I am unaware of the do not kiss the baby, and I probably will break that rule pretty quickly.
Well, listen, I'm so excited that you are our governor. And as I've told you on the campaign trail, we're going to do everything we can in Washington. I understand there's a line of separation between the federal government and state, but I want to help you turn the Show Me State into the Grow Me State. And with my position on the Appropriations Committee, bringing responsible infrastructure projects back to Missouri and us growing our ag exports, I think we're on the right track.
Yep. Well, one of the first calls, as you know, the first day, Fool's Day, we're in office was with the congressional delegation. I appreciate the willingness to work together and do things that we can do together to follow President Trump's agenda and really get this country going as good as we can. And I know you'll be a big help. Most of all, I want your listeners to know that you and Leslie's prayers for Claudia and I meant more than anybody can ever imagine. So we're just grateful for your friendship, for how you're serving our country and our state, and we're going to do good things together.
Governor Mike Kehoe, that sounds good to say, here in the Oval Office of the Capitol building, overlooking a very icy Missouri River. Governor, God bless you.
God bless you guys, and thank you so much for the opportunity to serve this great state.
Well, we're now with Senator Rick Brattin, my senator for the great state of Missouri, and we are in his beautiful office overlooking the Missouri River. This is your second term as senator, right?
It is, yeah. So we're getting off to the races, and session is. We're really hopeful to the direction and what we may get achieved this session. So,
what do you hope to get achieved? Because you are the chair of education now for the Senate. There are a lot of big things in education forefront for Missouri.
we have a lot to deal with to unpack with education. I mean, we have the woke indoctrination that's going on in our schools that we have to address. But also giving the options to students and to families to ensure that they have the capability to get a great quality education where they deem necessary, that's going to uphold the values that families embody. Going that direction is a big one. It's great to have the governor come in, and that's been a tenet of his administration, is educational choice. So we're real hopeful with the governor coming out and utilizing his position that we're going to make some really good strides in the choice arena.
So how would that work if families in Missouri are given a choice for a particular school? Would the money, the taxpayer money, follow the child in a particular school?
Yeah, so that's we have an ESA program. So what we're going to attempt to do this go around is to where if private investors don't meet the need, then taxpayer dollars will fill the void that's necessary for the people trying to get those scholarships. They're capable of getting $6,700 a kid. Now, that doesn't cover all educational costs. I have 2 kids that are in private schools. It definitely doesn't cover the cost, but it will really help ease the burden that the families are having to pay. And I think that's a great use of taxpayer dollars. It's by the Constitution, you're guaranteed or we're charged with providing an education. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be the public school. So long as they're receiving a great quality education, that's our duty and responsibility as a school.
What do you say to those families that might be listening now, who, especially in the urban core, who've really been, I think, unserved by the public school system? If you go into some of these schools, the education of the students is not first and foremost. They're not seeing results. Children are graduating without being able to read at a proper, even 8th grade level. That is a disservice to our students, to our young people, and to the future of America.
Oh, it's detrimental. And I just want to tell the families, we hear you, and that's what we are fighting to do, is to uncouple the system that has got you captured in a failing school district and give you the option to do what's necessary to make sure your kid does get a great education, able to read, able to write, do math, and become a successful member of society. And that's what we're doing. Everything. Now, it comes with the bumps and it comes with the bruises, when you're trying to take on this system that's been there for 100 years. But we've got to do something different.
And you have such a strong lobbying association with the teachers union, throwing a lot of money and a lot of influence to keep teachers where they are and the system as it is.
Yeah, but COVID, I think, as detrimental as it was for a lot of the public school, it really opened the eyes of parents and it opened the eyes of a lot of people, especially on the state here on the Capitol, as to what's going on in education. So it really hurt those associations that had such a stronghold in here, and kind of they were inoculated from scrutiny by the masses. But when parents really got a peek into the Chromebook of their kids, of what's going on, it really dismantled that stronghold that they had. So we're in a great shape. We just got to remain strong and continue on.
You're listening to Mark Alford's Capital Recap. Stay with us. Welcome back to Mark Alford's Capital Recap, where each week we give you a behind-the-scenes look at Washington, recap some of the legislation. Today, we're doing a little bit different. We are at the state capitol, the great state of Missouri, on the banks of the Missouri River. So President Trump has talked about totally doing away with the federal Department of Education. I think that's a good idea. We've talked about that on the campaign trail. I know you have been in favor of that. The Department of Education hadn't been around since our founding fathers. It was only an instrument that was used in the 1970s that was brought about. And since then, the education levels for American children has gone down.
Yeah, it's been a race to the bottom. I mean, and that's what government does. They come in and we have a great system that's operating properly. Here comes the government, and amazing, the government has a great job of screwing it up. No, there's the capability for taking the resources that were being funneled into the department and, hey, getting us some block grants to where, hey, local schools can utilize that money where they see fit instead of having the puppet master strings attached from a department. And I think that would be a great avenue that we could approach, to where the funding mechanism could potentially still be there. But we're going to get the federal government out of the local school classroom.
You're also chair of the Freedom Caucus here in Missouri. It's fairly new. I think you guys started last year. You came up to Washington, kind of patterned it off of what they did in Washington. What is the goal of the Freedom Caucus here in this state?
Well, it's to be the conservative North Star. And last year we had a lot of bumps. We had a lot of criticism. I mean, we even received the pettiest punishment award. We had our parking spots and chairmanships removed because we didn't come here we had a no prisoners approach. But this year, they want to include us into every discussion, into the policy making. The governor's been really good in wanting to involve the Freedom Caucus and moving the conservative agenda. And that's the purpose. If we're doing all those right things, there's really no need for a Freedom Caucus so long as we're doing what the population sent us here. Trump's a great example of that take no prisoners approach, and people love it. And I think people really do get on board. It's if we can get our elected bodies on board to do the will of the people. And that's what we try to embody. That's what we push. This year has been so much better. It's a breath of fresh air. Believe me, I don't like losing my parking spot. I don't like losing my chairmanship. It sucked, but hey, it's really paid great dividends this year, and we feel really hopeful as working as a team, as a caucus, and the Republican caucus, not just for.
And it seems like Governor Kehoe is more willing, like Trump is, to listen to all sides, to try to reach. I don't call it a compromise, negotiate the best deal for everyone involved so they can do what they need to do for their districts, and we can do what we need to do the state, and in our case, the federal government.
Yeah, I mean, Governor Kehoe's been fantastic. He came by my office yesterday, and I asked him, I said, are you prepared for your State of the State address today? And he was like, you're going to love what I have to say, and you're going to love the positions we're going to take. So we're real hopeful, and we love that he's doing what he's doing, and that we're all on the same team.
Well, Senator, good to see you. Next time, every time you come to Washington, I miss seeing you. So we've got to get together when you get up there.
Yeah, all right. No, looking forward to it, and thanks for all you do.
Well, thank you, Senator. I'm sitting in the office of the new Lieutenant Governor, David Wasinger. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Congressman Alford. It is very good to see you. We've got a great fighter in Missouri over in Washington, D.C., and Congressman Alford, so thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. So you're new on the job. You've never been in politics before, just like me. This is a new office for you.
It is. We're sitting in my office now. My wife is going to show up in about 30 minutes and help pick out furniture. What your listeners cannot see is that you and I are basically sitting in lawn chairs in a lieutenant governor's office right now, trying to get this done. But we're having fun. We're off to a real hot start. Governor Kehoe and I are getting along very well. I think we're going to move some good conservative legislation forward this year.
What's on the agenda? What do you see coming?
So our top issues, he's got the state of the state address this afternoon. So yeah, I think a lot more will be revealed here in about 3 hours. I serve as president of the Senate in addition to serving as Missouri Lieutenant Governor. So I will be presiding over that state of the state address. So I will gavel in both the Senate and the House here in about 2 hours. I think he's going to hit on the issues he's been talking about during the campaign trail and since he's been elected governor. Public safety is going to be a huge issue. Tax reform is going to be a big issue. From our standpoint, our office, we have to combat and work with the Trump administration on this illegal immigration. So that should be a big issue, and we hope it to be a big issue for Governor Kehoe. So we look forward to working with him hand in glove in terms of moving Missouri forward. Also look forward to working with you.
Well, and same here, Lieutenant Governor. Let's talk a little bit about the Senate, because you were not in the Senate, but some of the function or dysfunction in the last couple of years, terms in the Senate. How are things going to be different this year?
Well, we've walked in, and again, I preside over the state Senate, and so far, so good. Everyone's getting along very well. I had to get up to speed on the Senate rules. I actually had to go through mock sessions, believe it or not, to learn how to preside over the state Senate. The state senators we've interacted with have been very, very helpful, very, very kind. They've been in here asking us to help move some conservative legislation forward. So far, so good.
Seems to be communication is the key, to keep all sides informed and let everyone have their say.
Yeah, and you can oftentimes disagree but not be disagreeable when you do it. So it could be, this thing evolves over time. There may be a few disagreements, but so far everyone's getting along very, very well. I, in turn, have been working well with Governor Kehoe and the rest of the state senators to the extent I can keep the temperature down and move the conservative legislation forward. I intend on doing so.
Part of that conservative legislation is education. We talked to Senator Rick Brattin about that. This is an important time for Missouri when we're talking about school choice.
Correct. Senator Brattin has been in my office. I think this afternoon you'll hear Governor Kehoe talking about school choice. That will be maybe the number one issue that comes out of the state address. So I think you and your listeners should be intrigued by what he has to say in the state of the state address. The statewide office holders, including myself, sat down with Governor Kehoe yesterday, and we had a very good, positive conversation. And I think people will be happy with the way the school choice and other issues are evolve over the next 48 hours.
Another issue is taxes, possible elimination of the state income tax. A lot of Missourians want to see that happen.
Correct. That is a very popular issue on the campaign trail. It's an issue that Governor Kehoe, I think, ran on. I think it also will be addressed without disclosing too much in the state of the state address. I don't think there are going to be secrets. He campaigned on the issue. He's talked about the issue since being elected governor. I think he's going to talk about it in the state of the state address this afternoon.
What's the biggest adjustment you've had to make in just these short couple of weeks here being in office as lieutenant governor?
The private sector is a lot different from the public sector, just in terms of, the way the world operates. With that said, the Senate staff, the people in Jefferson City have been very kind. Realize I am very, very new to this and don't know where the stairwells are in the Missouri State Capitol. I still need to use Google Maps in order to find the Missouri State Capitol. But everybody has been very, very kind of mid-Missouri values. They've been very, very nice and very, very kind. So we've been very pleased with the way we've interacted with everyone.
I saw you out on the campaign trail quite a bit. You were certainly in touch with the people. That's why you won. Make Missouri great again. You handed out those red hats. Do you miss the campaign trail a little bit?
I do miss the campaign trail, and we will be getting back out on the road. We've got a couple of programs, the Buy Missouri program. We're in charge of tourism. Seniors we advocate for. So we've just been talking about getting back out on the road and start visiting Missourians again, which we would be delighted to do. By the way, I did win Jackson County in both the primary and the general election. May not be a different issue, but your voters were strong for me in Jackson County.
Well, Lieutenant Governor Dave Wasinger, thank you so much. Good luck to you. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Congressman.
Hey, folks, before we go, do want to tell you a little bit about what was going on in Washington this past week and in Florida, because in Doral, Florida, my Republican colleagues met with President Trump for a very productive conference that focused on really the specifics of reducing our spending, reducing our national debt, growing our economy, decreasing the regulations, and most importantly, renewing the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act from 2017. Folks, if we do not do that, it will mean the largest tax increase in American history. So whether it's going to be one big, beautiful bill, reconciliation bill, or two separate ones, it really doesn't matter to me as long as we get that done. We'll be concentrating on the reconciliation process next week on Capitol Recap. I do look forward to working with the Trump administration and my congressional colleagues in the months ahead to keep delivering on the mandate given to us by you, the American people, and to restore our economic liberty, our prosperity, and the opportunity for all hardworking Missourians, American families, American farmers, and American small businesses. Those are so important to me. Once again, I'm thankful to be here in Missouri with you, where I was also able to attend the governor's State of the State address because we, as you just heard, got to talk with Governor Kehoe, Lieutenant Governor Wasinger, and Senator Rick Brattin. If I had not stayed here, these conversations would not have been on Capitol Recap this week. So I'm glad I was able to be here and also listen to the governor's State of the State address. We will be back next week with another edition of Mark Alford's Capitol Recap. Until then, good day and God bless.